What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reggie Black back with another edition of Game Plan Insights. And today we want to get into the big trade that has happened today, and that is Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets. But before we get there, I want to say a few things. First, I want to say thank y'all for watching my last video. Even if it was a low number of people that are watching, I still want to thank y'all for watching my last video. I'm sorry that I haven't been consistent with the daily uploading that I prophesized or try or say I was going to fulfill. But I think as a few months ago, I talked about being a college student, and I'm so close to my degree and everything. And one of my classes that I'm taking over the summer is a requirement for me to graduate this year or this upcoming school year. So I'm taking that class, of course. So that's why I haven't been consistent with the daily uploading, but I haven't I'm gonna try to be more consistent in my videos. Um Try to be more consistent, so if I ever get the time to just sit down, create a video, edit it and all that stuff, I would definitely do that. But that's why I have been posting my summer content videos, because I've been busy with my classes. So just trying to get that done. But I appreciate all the love and support that y'all have given me since starting my YouTube journey. I've been trying to figure out like what kind of videos I want to make, how do I want to make my videos and all that stuff. For the summer, I have been doing like me just talking on the mic while putting pictures on the back, just to see how everything goes. So please leave in the comment if y'all like that type of style video where I just talk over what I'm gonna talk about and bring it up, or do y'all just like to see my face in person while having my note sections like I did the first couple few videos? So please, before we get started, I want you to hit that like button, hit that notifications at the bottom to turn it on, subscribe to turn on all notifications, as I'll be posting content whenever I try to post the content, and you will get a notification of when I post my video. And I will leave my Instagram probably somewhere in the video, at the bottom of the descriptions tab. So go follow my Instagram. I do have a Twitter account. I know it may not seem like I do have a Twitter account. Only reason I have a Twitter account is because just looking at wrestling content and wrestling news. But if you want to subscribe to my Twitter too, I will leave that in the descriptions as well. But enough talk about my life and what I've been going through. Let's talk about the NBA life. And it's very interesting. The last time I posted a video was, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, game one of the NBA Finals. And tonight it's game seven. So it's been a while, I will say that. A lot has happened, this and that. But we're going to make a separate video on the overall series and what I thought about it. And I'm gonna talk about, I think, what everybody wants to talk about, and that's Tyrese Halliburton. But that's gonna be a separate video. But today I want to talk about a video from, well, not a video. I want to talk about a story that erupted. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna give you the story breakdown how I found out. I was at work or at my internship, and I was scrolling through Instagram, and I see, like, you knew the inevitable was going to happen. I think everybody knew KD was going to get traded. Who was he's going to get traded to was pretty much inevitable. It was just not about a win. It was not about a how. It's not even was about it. Well, no, it was about when he was going to do it. So KD apparently, on a game seven to determine the championship, broke the news again. He has done it four times in his career. Okay? He has broke the news four times when going to a new team. The first time was him leaving OKC and then signing with the Warriors. The second time was him signing with Brooklyn. The third time was him getting traded to Phoenix. And now the fourth time is today. And what happened today was Kevin Durant traded to the Houston Rockets for 5 second round picks, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Houston's number 10 overall pick for this year's draft. Now, looking at the trade alone, you might say, dang, that's a premium for a 36, 37-year-old Kevin Durant. And maybe if you're looking at it from that islands or that eye vision, maybe you're right. Maybe that is a premium. But I don't look at it as a premium. I look at it as for Houston, that's a good deal. You got rid of Jalen Green, who last year in the first round struggled mightily. He struggled mightily. In his first playoff series, he struggled mightily. And I watched that series from game one to game seven. Jalen Green only had one good game in that series. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. The guy that they traded was so bad. And I had a vision. I wouldn't say I had a vision. I knew that they was going to trade Jalen Green after what we saw in them playoffs. I knew it. I knew it. And it's crazy that we have gotten to this point because um people thought, Jalen Green might would stay and all that stuff. And you all about people giving an opportunity. But if you remember, they didn't even want to give Jalen Green that contract. The way they based out that contract was probably one of the best type of contract because you didn't overly pay him, but you didn't give him the highest maximum year. I think Jalen Green wanted like a 5 year super max, but instead Houston gave him all his money at a shorter deal because it was a prove it deal. Hey, if you do good in them 3 years, we can talk about another contract. But I'm about to pull up Jalen Green's Warrior series, just to show you how bad he played in that series because I think we forgot about it. So Jalen Green averaged 21 points and shot from 42.3% in from the field. In the playoffs, in that one playoff series against the Warriors, he averaged 15.5 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game, and then 3.5 assists per game in the playoffs. And then this is where the Suns, not Suns, Phoenix knew, okay, maybe we need to trade him. In 14 games against the Warriors, a team that we feel, although they may not be the best of the best no more, you still got to respect them because they won 4 championships and they still have of course, a pivotal coach and Steve Kerr, who I do not like, but that's no here or there. We're not talking about him. We still got a pivotal coach. Excuse me. I just sneezed right quick, so I'm sorry about that. But in 14 games against the Warriors, he only averages 13.1 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, and 2.9 assists per game, which is basically three, but specifically 2.9 assists per game. And, you know, they looked at Jalen Green and they said, look, he had a chance to shine when the lights were on and the moment mattered. And he did not do that. Think about this. 7 games, 7 games. You telling me you only had one good game in 7 games? One good game? Yeah. And the only good game Jalen Green had was when he scored 38 points, tying the first round series, and that was a game Warriors really wasn't even playing series because they did their job and took one from Houston. So like it was a blowout. So if you really think about it, like he had a good game, but you can say the numbers were inflated because they was already blowing out the Warriors. You didn't need to score more. So I'm trying to think. Trying to find like I'm trying to look at like the series like his shooting against the Warriors. All right, so so I pulled up his playoff from the Warriors series because that was the only game they play. I'm gonna go through the numbers, how many points he scored, and you tell me if he did good in these playoffs. You gonna tell me, okay? So let me see if I can find his points. Sorry about that. I would have had it prepared in front of me. Okay. So I found his points. You're gonna understand why the Houston Rockets trade for him, and we're gonna go game by game, points wise. Okay. I told you he had 38 points in game two, right? So when I tell you all the other games, you're gonna say what? But that's how bad he played in the playoffs. Game one, 7 points. Game two, the game that they tied at six, 38 points. But it was a blowout win. So you could say the numbers were inflated. Game three, 9 points. Game four, 8 points. Game five, 11 points. Game six, 12 points. Game seven, the game that they needed all the marbles. You win this series, you play Minnesota. Minnesota showing some that they can be beat. You probably beat Minnesota, head to the Western Conference Finals against Shea and them, potentially. And you only give me a merely 8 points. And this is what the shocking factor is. He didn't even score 15. I'm not even asking for 20. He really didn't even score 15. Like, let's think about that. He really didn't even score 15. Like, there was only one game where he got over 20 points, and that was his 38 points per game. Do you know every other game he averaged under 15 points? So say what you want to say about Kevin Durant in terms of, hey, he may not be a good player. He may not be this. He may not be that. And this and that. But the dude knows how to show up in the playoffs. The dude's a two-time finals MVP. And whether we may not like what he did for them, we may not like how he handled the Thunder exit, we may not like how he pushed himself to go to Brooklyn, we may not the way that he pushed himself to go to Phoenix. But at the end of the day, Kevin Durant, when you look at all the finals MVP in the history of the NBA, in the history of basketball, the NBA specifically, his name pops up twice. Steph Curry, who we all love and consider the greatest three-point shooter ever. The dude only got one finals MVP and KD got two. So what does that tell you? I think we all knew KD's more talented than Steph, but people saying Steph is more talented than KD. But I'm not saying, hey, we'll look at awards and that should be the end all be all. No, I'm looking at the totality of your career. But if we're just looking at from a award basic and an award specific, KD has two Finals MVP. Now let me go to the Houston aspect of it. This is not a premium package. Okay, I think the Suns knew with that. I said Dylan Brooks. After the Desmond Main trade, where Orlando gave up four first round picks. Yes, they gave up four first round picks for Desmond Bain. But you gotta think about it. You was not gonna get four first round picks for Kevin Durant. One, because of his age. Two, because of his contract. Gotta remember, KD is eligible for an extension not this season coming up, the following season. So basically, you didn't really have leverage because it's not like you had KD signs for a 5 year super max deal where you can trade him and get the picks back. No, you had to get what you had to get. This was the next best alternative for the Phoenix Suns. You get your 5 second round picks. Now I'm gonna be honest. In the NBA, Second round picks really don't matter. You might find a hidden gem every 5 years. So second round picks doesn't matter. But they do recoup some of the assets that they lost from getting Kevin Durant too. So, it goes here and there. You recoup some of your assets, but at the same time, you get the for Phoenix, and I'm gonna get to the Phoenix side because I know I'm getting so. But let's get back to Houston. For Houston, you get some of the picks. No, you don't get some. I'm tripping. Phoenix. For Houston, you gave up picks that you don't think matter, and I think for Houston's sake, it don't really matter because you gotta think about it. People forget last year, although they were deep, people forget they drafted my man Reed Shepard, who can shoot the three. He can shoot the lights from three, and he didn't even play last year because that roster was so deep. And then you gotta think about it. Cam Whitmore really didn't even play last year. Everybody forget that Houston had such a deep team that we forgot some of the guys that were still on the roster that was still good. So Reed Shepard is going to get an even bigger role next year. Reed Shepard's rookie year, you could say it was a bust, but they played the long game. Houston knew when they drafted Reed Shepard, it was either going to be trading Van Vliet or trading Jalen Green. Don't trade Van Vliet because he actually had a good playoff series. Yes, he struggled during the regular season, but there were three games. Van Vliet was beating the Warriors by himself, honestly. And the game that they made close, it was because of Van Vliet's shooting. Listen to what Draymond Green said about Van Vliet. Listen to him. He said Van Vliet was killing him. Was killing him. People forget Fred Van Vliet is a champion. So not only you kept Van Vliet, you still kept Amen Thomas, who I think will be a stud in this league. Amen Thompson will be a stud. You can bank on that. I think the dude has potential to win an MVP, get multiple Defensive Player of the Year's award. Hey, I think he can get, if you really want to be, I think he can get all NBA defense. That's just me. I think he can. Multiple at least. First team. You kept Amen Thompson. You still got Reed Shepard. Okay, you still got Cam Whitmore. You didn't get rid of Shane Goon. You re-signed Steven Adams on a 3-year, I think 39 million deal. So you still got your backup center. I will say this: it all depends on Kevin Durant's health because we got to remember KD's been like yes, he looking good since coming back from the Achilles. So I'm not gonna disrespect him, but KD since coming back from the kids has had these minor tissues injuries where it hasn't keep him out for the season. But because older, because you are older, and because you know, you're not the same Kevin Durant in terms of your play style. Them tissues injury will come with greater regularity. Look at LeBron James. He's getting soft tissues injury. Now we can debate and discuss if he's faking it or not. That's not here and there. But I'm just talking about from an injury perspective. So now? Let's look at the Phoenix Suns side. Phoenix, you still got to trade Bradley Beal, whether you like it or not. Problem is, Bradley Beal doesn't want to get traded. But I will say this: that combination of Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and Bradley Beal, whether you like Bradley Beal or don't like Bradley Beal, I will say this: it has potential to be good. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be great, but it has potential to be good. And think about all the second round assets that they acquired. They could use that and trade for a solid guy to come off their bench, a bench piece if they want to, or they can go young. But I seen something in the comments earlier. I thought it was pretty interesting that they said that. I didn't really think about it until maybe recording this video like at the moment. But they did say because of what they got for KD, they said don't be surprised if they try and trade Booker too. Now, Phoenix has already said they don't want to trade Booker, and I don't think Booker wants to be traded from Phoenix either. But you're looking at it from okay, maybe maybe the Suns are trying to really rebuild because they can't really trade Bradley Beal, and like it or not, yes, they get a point guard, but they get an inefficient point guard. So like they still got problems at the point guard position because Jalen Green has not shown he's efficient enough to be like an actual point guard. And when you're a point guard, you got to be you. There's two things for you to be a great point guard. You got to be a Tyrese Halliburton where you know how to get others involved and you get 8, 9 assists, or you got to be like a Steph Curry who's a great shooter and can score the basket. Because if you really can't do both at a consistent level, you might struggle being a point guard. You might. So I think for the Suns, yes, you get the assets maybe needed for the Kevin Durant trade, maybe the best possible one. Um, but this don't put you at contender status if that's what you're thinking. This don't put you at contender status. So, I think honestly, I just say honestly that Phoenix, they just trying to recoup assets for this KD trade, and then we're gonna go from there. Um, Now, what it did now for me, I don't think Houston wins next year, but I will say this: maybe it gets them farther into the playoffs than what they previously thought, or what they maybe this trade helps them get farther into the playoff because we're gonna talk about this. But I don't think OKC can run it back with the same roster this year. I think you could say they potentially got a little lucky. I'm not gonna call them lucky, but you could say they got potentially a little lucky, and I don't think they can run it with this same roster. I think they can need to trade a couple pieces, but we're gonna talk about that in the next video that I'm gonna pre-record because I'm gonna try to record like 3 videos back to back to back. So if my voice sounds a little funny, I do apologize for that. But overall, in terms of this trade, and then this is another thing that I want to mention because I didn't mention this as well. Kevin Durant respects Ime Udoka. I don't care if nobody said he respects Ime Udoka. And Ime is a no nonsense type of guy. If you don't follow Ime, he will let you know in that spot. And I think Kevin Durant he needs discipline. And I'm not saying Kevin Durant don't have discipline, but it's too much going from team after team after team. Don't know what you want. And I think with Ime made him more comfortable. Ime made him in terms like open up like, hey, what do you want? I'm gonna tell you how I feel, but you let me know how I feel too. And I think that's what Ime is known for in terms of doing that. Um, but I think that was a big reason as well that why Kevin Durant preferred to be in Houston than other teams. Because when you look at the Spurs, yes, they're prepared for the future. Yes, they could win a championship, but they didn't really need a Kevin Durant. Honestly, like the Spurs, they don't really need a Kevin Durant because if you trade it for a Kevin Durant, if you're the Spurs, then you basically are giving up your future assets for a guy. Like if you think Wemby is ready to win a championship now, you go get a Kevin Durant for that. But I like what the Spurs did, just holding out and said, "Hey, we're gonna build like we did that with the Tim Duncan, Manu, and Tony Parker era. We feel like we have something with Wemby, Stephon Castle, and then potentially they got the number 2 pick, so they could easily get either an Ace Bailey, who I really like, or they can go a Dylan Harper, or they can trade that number 2 pick and get a Giannis because they got a lot of assets for the Spurs, but I don't think they needed a Kevin Durant. That's just me. So I'm glad the Spurs didn't do it. For the Heat, I don't know what the Heat's doing. I don't really care what the Heat's doing. There might be some Miami fans that's gonna comment me, but it's time to find Pat Riley. I wouldn't even say fire him. I think it's time to let Pat Riley ride into the sunset because he's talking about heat culture and this and that. Nobody don't want to come to Miami no more. Like, and you think, okay, Florida is no state income taxes. You still don't want to come to Miami, but the culture Pat Riley's built, it's old news. How I say, I wouldn't say it's no dead or not. It's just Pat Riley don't know how to adapt, and when you don't know how to adapt, unfortunately, it's gonna bite you in the ass. In the ass, excuse me for my language, it's gonna bite you, um, eventually. So for Pat Riley. Yeah, you gotta do what you got. Pat Riley, he didn't want to give up these young draft players, but it's like I don't know what you want, Pat Riley. Like you want somebody to come to Miami? Like heat culture is really not heat culture anymore. So it's just simple as that. But overall, for both teams, for Phoenix, I mean, overall, we know Phoenix lost the trade, but like I don't think they totally lost. So that's another. I don't think they totally lost the trade, but they got what they got for this Durant pick, and then Houston, they're saying we're pushing the chips all in. So you know. Houston, I think Houston's gonna make some noise next year in terms of that. And other than that, you know, that's just how I feel. And I appreciate y'all for watching this edition of GPI. Kevin Durant traded to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 overall pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. Thank you. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you're brand new. And I'm out. See you in the next video.